Okay, I have 30 past the hour. Hello and welcome. This is the breakout session for Fan Best Practices Toolkit, session 2. My name is Renee Teeler and I'll be moderating for us today. We have 3 wonderful speakers to welcome. First, we have Jennifer Talley. Jennifer is the project manager for the advocacy domain of the Emergency Medical Services for Children Innovation and Improvement Center. She is a part of the Center for Child Health Policy at University Hospital's Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital in Cleveland, Ohio. We also have Melissa Winger. Melissa serves on the Telehealth Quality Improvement Project Advisory Board and National Pre-Hospital Pediatric Readiness Project Steering Committee for the EIIC. She is a member of the Academy of Pediatrics Star Center Committee and Family Partnership Committee, and a patient-centered medical home consumer site evaluator with the Minnesota Department of Health. And finally, LeeAnn Domonske-Keller. LeeAnn has served as the Family Advisory Network representative for North Dakota since 2006. As head EMT, she manages the Wilton Rural Ambulance District, while also volunteering her time and efforts throughout the community in multiple facets. All this, and she is currently Wilton, North Dakota's mayor. Welcome, all 3 of you. Take it away.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Renee. It makes us sound so important. I mean, LeeAnn and Melissa are actually important. I mean, how many fans are actually the mayor? And how many, well, most of my fans are licensed practical moms like Melissa. So welcome back to day 2. We were so happy to have you guys yesterday. We're going to cover a couple of different topics and do a couple of different things today. So as always, none of us have anything to report. We are not shady individuals. And our agenda today is we're going to do a little polling here at the beginning because I'd like to get some feedback from all of you. And then we're going to have some discussions around how to retain a fan and how to use a fan in performance measures. These are things that, again, we want to make sure that we get some feedback and generate some discussion from you, as this is some information that our state partnership friends need. We want to be able to provide them with the resources that they're looking for. So we will go ahead and get started here. Our polling software today is something called Mentimeter. And so what I would like for you to do, you can do this on your computer, your tablet, or your smartphone. You could head on over to menti.com and enter the code that I have shown here on the screen, 9907283. That will enable you to participate in our polls. I'm going to leave this up for a couple of more seconds here for you guys. You'll also see this on the Mentimeter slides as we get there. So I'm going to give you a minute to get logged in to Mentimeter.
For some reason, that code's not working for me.
Oh, you know what? Let's try this. You know what? There's a reason, because I put the wrong number in. Let's try again. The number that you really need this time, now with feeling, is 85243656. Okay. I want to make this big so that everybody can see it. Thank you for speaking up, Melissa. Sometimes we have operator error. But we'll need you to go to menti.com and put in code 85243656.
It's working.
Perfect. And
Jennifer,
you'll see. Yes, LeeAnn.
it comes up right away with the presenter has changed slides. Cancel or go to next slide. The first question is, what are some reasons that you think fans resign? So should we stay on that question?
No, it should be this first one right here.
And Jen, we're seeing your slide deck.
You're seeing my slide deck. That would explain why there's an issue. Thank you, Sarah. How about now? Is this any better?
What is about the preps? Got it.
Jennifer?
What's the best way for me to communicate and engage with fans? That's what I want to know. So can you see that question here in the Mentimeter slides? Yes.
Nope. My,
Yes.
Did I
I'm-
get my act together?
I'm still on. My first question was the other one. So do I just go back and
Go
At
back
the
and
top,
try
it said
again.
go to slide on the top.
Go
of
to
that.
cancel. Go to, yeah.
I have to re-put my code in?
Mm-mm.
Melissa, did you have the option at the top to go to next slide?
No.
Oh,
Try, have you tried backing out and going in again? I'm seeing results come in. Isn't this fun to watch this pop up on the screen? This is why I love this program if you guys have never used it before. So I'm seeing most of us like email, which is great. Did you guys know that we have a Facebook?
yes.
I know you know that we have a Facebook, Sandy.
Now, what I'm seeing on my, we're not supposed to look at what's on the phone then with the results, right? Because I just have little blue lines going up and down. I've already answered,
Yes.
so I don't have to go by this. Okay,
Yep, you just look at the screen here.
okay.
Look at the screen here. All right. So this poll is telling me that email is usually the best way to communicate with you guys, followed by Facebook and text message.
So can you read off the code? I'm using the one in the chat and it won't listen to me.
Yes, it is 8524
Okay.
3656. And it's right here at the top of the slide.
Okay. Now I'm back. Okay.
Awesome. And Tamara, that's a-okay that you can't get your computer or audio to work to speak. You can talk to me through the chat. I am hanging out here for you. Okay, so people seem to like email. This is great. This is very good information for me. I'm actually going to grab another link or whoops.
Jennifer, we've had a couple of people sign on since we started this, so you might need to tell them what we're doing.
Yes. All right, everybody. We are doing some live polling here. I see some new faces. If you'd like to participate in our polls, what I'll need you to do is go to www.menti.com. I'm going to put that in here. And the code that you're going to want to use is 85243656. And I put that in the chat too. This is going to allow us to do some live polling questions today. And the cool part about this is that it records all your answers for me. So that as we go back later, I can refer to the data that you give me. Okay, it looks like our answers have kind of evened out and stopped here. So this is good information for me. Thank you so much for giving it to me. Let's head to the next polling question that I have for you guys, which is what is the best way for fans to communicate with each other between annual meetings? We want to make sure that we're giving you the communication resources that you need to continue to feel connected to one another, to share your successes with one another, to ask for help when you need help. And this is a ranking. So rank what you think would be most important to least important for communicating. I want to give you guys several channels and avenues with which to be able to work with one another. I'm paging, oh, look at this, look at this, I love it. I see a couple new faces in the room here. So if you're new, what we'd like you to do is go to www.menti.com. You can do it on your computer, your smartphone, your tablet. You're going to want to enter code 85243656.
And that's in the chat box too.
Yes, that is in the chat box too. I put that there for, again, so that you all can see that as we go through. Okay, still getting a couple more answers here.
Jennifer,
Yes.
challenge. What is the Slack Discord members only char room?
Oh, it should say chat room. So that's a typo.
Oh,
Slack is a group communication tool. So is Discord. And what it is you add specific members to it, and it is a running chat and running communication. I can put rooms in it. I can put channels in it. We can put channels where you share specific things. I am more familiar with Discord than Slack, I will tell you. Discord, you can have video calls with people. You can stream video. You can share pretty much whatever you want through those channels.
old. I don't know this stuff.
I had a feeling when I saw it come in last that this may be a new piece of technology for you. So would you like for me to do a demonstration on how this works? Is it something that you'd be interested in learning about?
I was excited about the char room. I thought I was going to have some steak.
I want some steak too. Like, it is lunchtime. I am hungry. Hey,
We need
barbecue sauce.
s'mores.
And Tamara brings up a really good point. We have barriers to using these things. Even Facebook has barriers. The good news is that all of this can be accessed through your personal mobile phone or tablet as well. Even Discord, they all have interfaces with personal devices. So let me know in the chat here, would you be interested in learning about something like Slack or Discord? Josh says yes. Anybody else interested? Do you think it would be do you think it's worth pursuing that as a tool?
Is there any cost? Is there any cost to using it for EMSC or anyone?
As far as I know, Discord, absolutely not. It's free. Slack, I also believe, is free. I have a budget, you have a budget, we have a budget. I am looking for free 99 products here. All right. So I will look at doing a brief demo at one of our all fan meetings. It sounds like from what I can see here that the all fan meetings are one of the best ways for you to communicate with each other. And I love that. Do you think quarterly is often enough, or should we have them more often? Can you let me know in the chat? Because right now we have all fan meetings quarterly. Do you want them every other month? Are we getting you together enough? Josh says quarterly sounds good. So he's for sticking with the current schedule. And you can unmute and tell me in person if you'd rather.
Is there a way to do also to make sure we're getting the right day and time that works for most? Do we do like a doodle poll or something?
Yes, I could put out a doodle poll. If there's a better day or time, sure. Sure, I will make a note to make a survey about that so that we can pull you on what times, days and times may work better than when we currently have them, which would be from 3 to 4 p.m. EST. And we can go from there. Okay, so people think that quarterly, so far I'm seeing that quarterly sounds good for most people, that is frequent enough for them to communicate.
Quarterly is good unless something emergent comes up and we would have to call a meeting.
Yes, and we could, I think we would have to figure out what the flexibility is.
Mhm.
And oh yes, Tamara says it would be ideal to have breakout rooms. We do meet, so we can be able to interact a bit more. This is great feedback. Sarah and I actually have been thinking about giving you guys breakout rooms to meet by region, so that we will get that going for our next fan meeting for sure.
Jennifer, could we get like a map of the regions? Because at one point, Florida was with Minnesota. And we kind of have differing issues, although then at least I could talk to Melissa more. But it was very odd because several years ago, we were trying to get our regions together and we had such diverse issues, like in, snow and hurricanes and things like that, that we had to deal with. So if we could get of where we're assigned now, it might be the same. I don't know. Melissa, I may get to talk with you more if they're still the same.
Love to
can
talk
tell
about
you-
hurricanes and ice in the same conversation.
Yeah.
Good news, Sandy, is that yes, I can get you a map.
Okay.
Maybe slightly bad news is that no, you are not with Minnesota. You are now with states actually surrounding Florida.
Oh, good. That's great. Yeah, Melissa
So
will just
I think
walk.
that will help for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I have another general question for you. We are thinking about putting out some educational toolkits for you to help you with various projects. And so I have 4 options here that we kind of brainstormed about. And I'm wondering what do you think would be the best toolkit for us to put out first? So we have one around public education, one around legislative advocacy, identifying areas of need in your state, and executing long-term projects. Tamara has another good idea here in the chat. She says maybe we could group ourselves by region and or subject. So things like emergency prep, special health needs, trauma, mental health, whatever. So maybe we could have some special topics there as well. We've got some good data and information coming in here on the screen. I'm going to give you a couple more seconds here to get in and answer the poll. I see a couple new faces here. You can use your tablet, your smartphone, or your computer to go to www.menti.com. You'll see that here at the top of the slide, and you're going to use code 85243656. And I'm going to put that here. Whoops. I'm going to put that here in the chat for our new folks.
Also in the chat, if you want to put where you're from and your role and what state you're from. So if you're a fan or if you're a program manager and what state you're from, just so we kind of have an idea.
Okay, I think we're full up on data on this one. So it sounds like we need to start with how to identify areas of need in your state. So I will work on that with our steering committee and Jocelyn, and we'll be back in touch with you on what we need to do moving forward with that. And that is the end of my general polling questions. What I'd like to do now is turn it over to Melissa Winger, who's going to spend some time talking with us about how engaging and retaining fans. And she has a couple of polling questions here that we're going to use to spark some discussion. So I will switch to your first question here, Melissa, and go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Jennifer. So again, I'm Melissa Winger and I'm from Minnesota. Been involved for about 10 years now with our EMS program. One thing to kind of mention, because this was very confusing to me in the beginning, is to know that each state is organized differently with their EMS program. So I know when I first came to my first annual meeting and I was thinking everyone was organized the same way, and turns out that some were organized because their grant was run by their state health department. Some had bigger programs, more staff, only because there are other funds that were brought into their program. Mine in Minnesota is run by one person, our wonderful state program manager, Chelsea, and she's been in the role for 10 years or even more maybe, but we are located within a children's hospital. And she's our one and only staff person that does an amazing job. So I just wanted to put that out because it was so confusing to me and I couldn't really understand that for a while, why others were programmed differently and run differently. So just wanted to point that out. So our first question, because we're looking at trying to figure out what makes you want to be involved in FAN, what wants you to stay involved, what wants, we just want to make sure that you're feeling valued, that you're able to contribute as much as you want, be involved in projects that you are interested in doing. So we want to give some answers from this poll out to our program managers, those who are trying to recruit their first FAN, and those who are having difficulties retaining them. So that's what we're going to do with the answers to these polling questions. So, and also these are things that we surveyed our program managers and they were looking for ideas on these things. So the first one is the program manager that has 3 items on their to-do list and they want to involve their FAN in one of them. So which one of these would you most likely choose? So we have creating an infograph, represent EMSC at a conference. You can manning the vendor table. Some of those conferences, education conferences locally do that. Or volunteer by putting some bags together to hand out to at an upcoming conference.
Melissa, we have some social people in here. Like they want
That's
to,
always
looking at
good.
these responses, they want to go out and talk to the people.
I love that. I love that. That's a great way to get your FAN involved because then you're talking directly to people that are in your state. You're finding out directly what they need. And it gives you a lot of things to think about when you go back to your advisory council. Love that.
Do you want me to
Not
move on to your next
Yeah,
question, or
I was
is there
thinking
more?
not a lot of people want to create an infograph and I don't know how to do one of those. So I would probably be opting out too.
Yes, well, and that requires some computer skills that I know I don't have. I can give you content, but it's not going to look real slick.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, we can move on to the next question.
Okay.
So now you've been on as an advisor for about a year. And the project manager and the advisory council are focusing on putting together their strategic plan for 2022. And which area would you most likely want to volunteer for or help with?
Wow, this one is really kind of one-sided, isn't it? Oh, well, we got 2 on the other side.
I wonder if it comes back
Right,
to our
it's a
tech
race.
barrier. When someone looks at me and says, Jen, design a website, I'm like, you should probably find another human.
Maybe we should have put help with the design and content for a website.
We have a question in the chat here, Melissa. She wanted to know what is the difference between 1 and 3?
Yeah, great question. So just using what I know from being in Minnesota is that we go around and provide education to EMS providers, basically kind of in the rural areas of Minnesota. And going through educational content, there was a lot of clinical hands-on training. And looking to involve a FAN, we actually created a special needs training course where I did have a clinical person present with me, but then I also talked about from a family perspective, talking to all the EMS people about how to work with families, my son has severe autism, incorporating some of those skills and things about doing that. So it's very content specific on what to talk about. and mine happened to be special needs, working with medical equipment, those kinds of things that kids have in our area. And then creating a patient-centered resource guide would be something like a written material that would kind of go across all kids, maybe not exactly children with complex needs, but all kids. So yeah, kind of the span between both of those.
I love that you used your personal experience and things that you've helped out with here, Melissa, to kind of bring ideas to the table on what people can do. And I think collecting experiences and information like that would be super helpful to our state partners. Like here's a list of things that the fans have helped with.
Yeah. And we actually got very creative. The person I did this with was an EMS trainer with a local technical college. And we did some children with complex needs sessions, and we did like some role playing. Like, how do you deal with sort of a frantic mother? I did an excellent job, I believe, as and deserve probably an Academy Award. But what they could see was how the EMS person interacted with me, like sort of in real time, hands-on, seeing like what things could be said, what things could be done. And we got really good feedback over time.
That's awesome. And I love Sarah has been is helping us keep tabs on our consensus, and she's noted that even this poll shows that you guys want to be hands-on out in front of the people. And so that's a direction that I think we're going to go as we guide some of these newer state partners on how to use their fan, is put them in front of people. So be prepared to talk. I hope you have your talking voice ready. Okay, and you have one more question, right, Melissa?
Yep, we have one more.
One more. And then somebody already got some. I have a couple responses to this that may have shown up first.
Yeah, so we all can kind of recognize that we have so many things going on in our life. And if we want to volunteer for something and we want to be a part of something, it's sometimes that means you can't be involved in other things. So you might say, well, what am I doing on the EMSC group versus what I could do in a different group? And maybe I'll step back from FAN and resign. And what are some of those things that would make you decide that way? So, you know, are you not feeling valued? Are you not feeling that your feedback is actually incorporated into anything? Are you missing meetings because they simply don't work at the days and times that work for you? Just all of those different things.
I think we're seeing some pretty clear trends, and I think helping our state partners find times where fans can attend the meetings, that would be something that would really improve things. It would be nice to pick more than one option. Petra, tell me in the chat, what would your other option be? Or you can unmute yourself and tell me. We're not shy here.
I do find too that happens a lot. So if you think about you bringing a fan on and the other members of those advisory councils where this is part of their job. So they do it during their job working hours.
I have unmuted myself.
Oh, great. Thank you.
I figured it out. It's Petra. I'm from
Petra,
Virginia.
thank you for that.
The meetings sometimes are scheduled that I can attend, but I often feel being on the outside of the health department, I don't always get included in the communications of what's going on internally.
Yeah.
So I would like to pick both the blue response and the pink response, but it is not giving me that option.
I will set it up better next time, but I thank you so much for telling us that. Like that's.
I think it would be helpful. I think some other people probably would feel, well, we only have right now 8 people responding, and I know we have fans in every state and territory, so it does make me wonder where the rest of our fans currently are.
Yeah, I think some of the issues is that we are not all in one place. I think
Mhm.
we get a lot more fan response when we can all be in one place. And right now we're in each of our own time zones.
Absolutely. And this meeting may be scheduled at a time that they could not attend.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
It's very helpful that these are being recorded and that people can
Yes.
watch them at their own leisure.
Yes. And I can also formulate these questions into a poll for the larger fan.
I think that would be helpful if you're really looking at getting data that's going to be helpful, because 8 out of however many we have, it's really the sample size isn't there.
Yes. Yes. And oh my gosh, Christina tells us about having to drive 3 to 4 hours round trip to go to the state's meeting.
Mhm.
Do any of you have crazy commutes like that as well?
Mine would be 4 hours round trip. I'm a couple hours out of Tallahassee. Now, the first and third is one that we've heard over the years about being involved in the meetings, is that they don't feel like they're acknowledged, or they don't have the knowledge base that everybody else on the panel has, and feel like they're just kind of dismissed. That's when you need to get vocal, because just being there, you have value. And I think sometimes we forget that. And so our managers have to be the ones that say, no, you know, they've got value too. So let's hear what you need to say and go from there. I think that's been a big one for a very long time, is not feeling valued.
I'm loving the feedback that we're getting in here. Josh said that he's been a past committee chairperson, and he thinks that speaking to the chairperson and telling them what you want and what you need, and that entitles you to your opinion, and you should be. If you, as you can tell, Sandy, Melissa, and LeeAnn, who you're going to hear from here in a little bit, are shy, retiring, and quiet individuals.
Very introverted.
Very introverted, incredibly so. I think some of the success that they've been able to have in their states is because they aren't afraid to speak up, and they will go toe to toe with some of these people and say, I have just as much experience as you do in what I do. So my opinion is just as valid. And I think Christina gave us some really good feedback here as well, which will help us in future planning, which is having the conference right when school begins. I'm going to bring that back to HRSA, especially for parents. You're right. August and September as a parent of any sort is insane. Between buying school supplies, getting kids hither, dither, and yon, and making sure everything is set up correctly for them. So I will take that back to HRSA for sure.
And then the next one is that states that reimburse travel or pay for travel. I think that's individual states like mine. So the example I tend to give is if it's during daytime hours, if I were to get reimbursed for mileage, that's one thing. But if you think for 1 hour meeting, I have to take 3 hours of vacation time from work, drive to the meeting, sit for the meeting, drive back. So not exactly convenient. And do you really want to use your vacation time, you know, for that? I don't have a life, so I do, but I mean, maybe some won't.
Yeah, so there is for, I think it is state by state, how they handle travel costs. They do, I will tell you, each state does have to send one fan to the annual meeting, at least one. And the state partner also has to attend. But travel costs outside of the state of the All-Grantee meeting are handled on a case-by-case basis, and it depends on how your grant is written. Okay, thanks for that great discussion, Melissa. LeeAnn, are you here? Are you ready to talk?
I am here and I'm ready, and I apologize. My dog is barking at the neighbors who are putting in a water line. So hopefully it's distracting.
Okay, so LeeAnn, do you want to open up with the 2 basic poll questions, or do we want to start right with the performance
I'd
measures?
love to.
Okay, let me share the right thing here then. Here we go. Did that share? Yes. Okay. I'm like, Zoom is lagging.
Oh, can we have the poll questions first, please?
Oh, you want the poll questions first? Yep, let's do it.
Yep, those first 2, please.
You got it.
And don't answer this question until the first question should be, were you aware of what the performance measures were prior to this conference? They have been presented a couple of times, so we want to know, did you know what they were? So when we get to the question, is it on our phone?
It should be. I'm seeing data come in.
And you're still showing the slide deck.
Let's try again. You know, this is, I usually just share my whole screen, but y'all don't want to see my email. It's a hot mess right now.
Well, that's positive. A lot of people were aware of what the performance measures were. I will admittingly tell all of you, even though I've been in this a million years, it seems like, I didn't know them. We have a huge overturn of program managers in the state of North Dakota, so I am just the constant person, and I was completely unaware of what the new program performance measures were.
Awesome.
So let's move to the next one, if we could, please.
Is that this? That's this one, right? Do you know what your state's target goal is for those measures?
Oh, look how concerning that is. I think we need, the program managers need to have a little education for us on what are their goals.
Tamara has a good point here. She says she doesn't know what they are, but she knows where to look it up. And that's important. That's important because Tamara knows where to look it up, and that can help her make some decisions on how she might participate or help her state partner. And that's important.
All right, so how about we head over to those PowerPoints and we'll just quickly review what the performance measures were. And I feel like I'm speaking to the choir. Oh, who else has a high turnover of managers? I'm sorry, I don't have my chat.
Yeah, Cowie, that's a great thing to bring up. LeeAnn, how many managers have you been through?
At least 10.
At
It may
least
be
10 in
more.
the time you've been a fan.
I kid you not, at least 10. So it's concerning. It is difficult to move the program forward if there's such a high turnover, although I do understand program managers are not here to make $1 million. So it's a difficult position for them too. So let's move to the performance measures. The reason we have performance measures is the government implemented standards for all places receiving government money. So although if we met the threshold that they needed, why would they continue funding us? So we need to continue having greater and greater goals to meet so we can continue funding and continue EMSC. We move on to the next one, please. So the first performance measure, EMSC1, is NEMSIS compliance version 3.x data. And this is how EMS agencies such as myself, when we do our online trip tickets, it is sent to a central, ours is sent to a central location, and they report the data back to NEMSIS. And this is more of a financial issue for many states on how are they going to fund NEMSIS. So the goal is by 2021, 80% of EMS agencies in the state or territory are compliant with the NEMSIS 3.x. Next slide, please. 2 is the Pediatric Care Coordinator. This is just new and emerging, and after this session, there's the kickoff. So if you're interested in helping form the PECCs in your state or region, please attend that session. Goal is by 2023, 60% of the EMS agencies, and by 2026, 90%. And I think this is a great area that we as fans can help out. Next slide, please. Pediatric specific equipment. This one's been going on for a while. The goal is, there is a list of pediatric specific equipment for EMS agencies. The goal is by 2023, 60% of the agencies have the equipment. And by 2026, 90% of EMS agencies. Next slide, please. Hospital recognition of pediatric medical emergencies. The percent of hospitals with an emergency department recognized through a statewide, territorial, or regional standardized program that are able to stabilize or manage pediatric medical emergencies. Our goal is by 2022, 25% of hospitals are recognized as part of this program. Next slide, please. Hospital recognition for pediatric trauma. The percent of hospitals with an emergency department recognized through a statewide, territorial, or regional standardized system that are able to stabilize or manage pediatric trauma. Goal is by 2022, 50% will meet these standards. Next slide. Interfacility transfer guides. Again, this is something that our program managers have been working on for quite a while. This is for the emergency departments to have to safely transfer pediatric patients and include the following components of transfer, which I did not include. You can go look that up yourself. Goal is by 2021, 90% of hospitals have these pediatric transfer guides in place. Next slide. Interfacility transfer agreements. This is written interfacility transfer agreements that cover pediatric patients. Again, this is a performance measure that has been in the works for quite a few years. The goal is by the end of this year, 90% of the hospitals have the agreements in place. Next slide. Permanency of EMSC. This is one place that fans, I have to turn my heater off because I'm dying, and there. This is one place that fans really we can use our voices to get this in place. As Melissa referred, some of these programs are housed in the state, like my state. If the funding is not there from the federal government, we would not have EMSC. So our goal is to increase the number of states and territories that have established permanency of EMSC in the state or territories. Great opportunity for us to talk to our legislatures and start getting this word out and get some permanency for EMSC in all the states and territories. Next slide. Integration of EMSC priorities into statutes and regulations. Again, great place for fans where we can talk to our legislatures. Remember, our program managers many times cannot lobby if they're employed by the state. So our goal is by 2027, EMSC priorities will have been integrated into existing EMS hospital and healthcare facility statutes and regulations. Next slide. Copy of the complete manual can be found at the EIIC website. So I think we have some more poll questions, don't we, Jennifer?
We do, but we have about 7 or 8 minutes left. And I wanted to just take a minute here before we do anything else and see if we have any questions or comments from our fans here about things that we should be working on, things that they need, things that they want to see the fan do. So feel free. You can unmute yourself. You can put it in the chat. I just want to make sure that we have some time here to get some free flowing feedback from you guys on things that we haven't asked about or talked about yet, or even on things that we have.
Do we have any idea why the big turnovers and the program managers? I mean, LeeAnn, you've had a bunch. Have they said why they just don't like it? It's too much or what? I mean, we've had the same ones forever here, so I'm just wondering what the difference is.
Our state, as I said, does not supplement the EMSC program. The amount of money that they receive from the federal government is what they have to have their salary out of, their health care, all the other benefits that come from working with the state. So if, I don't even know what our budget, the budget is now, is it 125,000? So what we get per state, 150? Anyone know?
No, I don't.
Anyway, so when you take that small amount of money and you start paying a staff their own salary and benefits, that really cuts into the program. Plus in our state, I don't know why it works this way. They also fund half or part of one of the receptionists or assistants positions. So there's just not a lot of money left over. Our last program manager that left, she said, you know, she had a 1-year-old at that time. She said, I have to feed him. So she made great connections through the EMSC program and is working in a child-related education field here in the state of North Dakota. But nonetheless, here is financial.
Tamara let us know in the chat that she thinks it's only about 130K maybe.
It should be somewhere in that area.
Yeah. Any other questions you have for us? Topics? Things you want to see, things you want to tell us?
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
For the state meetings, who decides whether they're in person or Zoom? Is that done by each individual state, or is that a national guideline?
That's a great question. I think that's handled on the state level, but let me ask HRSA to make sure that I'm not missing anything.
Jennifer, I can answer that question.
You know? Oh, even better.
I do know. I've been here a long time. They're required to have quarterly meetings, and they are required to have 1 meeting a year in person, is my understanding. So we do 3 by telephone and 1 in person per year. Is how we do it. Oh, someone, look, Josh says I'm right. Yay,
Josh says you know. This is
You are
awesome.
right.
I get a star.
We'll give you
Okay,
a gold star. You're correct.
For our state, they were saying that they were all supposed to be in person. So we have been driving in for the quarterly meetings. Besides when they changed things for COVID. So we just recently went back to in-person meetings.
Do you have a new program manager?
No.
We always offer a hybrid. They're in person. If you can't come in person, you can come in by conference call or by Zoom. We kind of have a hybrid for those that are in the rural areas.
So that may be something, who am I hearing from? I can't find your name on my list. Like it's not lighting up green. Christina, okay.
Yes.
I see you unmuting yourself there. Christina,
Yes.
Let's see, you're in Ohio, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see what we can find out. And we will get back to you. Does that sound okay?
Yes, that does. Because
I'll-
it's about a 3 to 4 hour drive, and it's hard to block out that amount of time for me, but I could do the Zooms easy enough. It's just by the time I get back home, I'm getting right into kids' activities and stuff. So sometimes it's tough.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let us help you figure out how to resolve that.
Okay.
Looking at the federal requirements might have it in there, because I know that ours is 1 in person and 3, whatever format we want to use.
Yeah, so we can absolutely help investigate that. I think we've got about a minute left here in our session. So before we close, I want to say thank you so much for everyone that's come, that has spoken up today, that has shared their feedback, their voice, and their needs with us. That is what we are here for. If you need something, if you're experiencing issues, if you want us to know something about what's going on to see if we can work together to make things easier and better for you, we are here for that. So please reach out. We're gonna have some information coming through the chat here in just a second with a link of where to go back, how to get back to the main stage here. It's going to open, when you click on that link, it's going to open a new tab and it's going to take you back for the plenary that I believe starts at 1:30.
Correct.
Yep, take a peek at the schedule here right now. I think we're going to have a break from 1:20 to 1:30. And you can go to the networking lounge, you can go to the poster hall, you can go chat in the main chat. I'd also like to extend special thanks today to my new Vanna White and Cindy Crawford, Melissa and LeeAnn for all their wonderful hard work today. Thank you for such a great discussion, and we will see you guys in October at our next all fan meeting.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank
guys.
you. Good seeing you guys.